Okay, think about the last time you saw some marketing campaign that really, caught your eye.
Hmm.
You probably remember the flashy ads, maybe a big discount, or that classic limited time offer trying to get you to buy now.
Yeah, the standard stuff.
But what if there's another way, and maybe a simpler approach for businesses to connect that? Well, that actually boosts sales by tapping into something more fundamental.
That's exactly what we're getting into today. Voluntary transparency. Specifically, what happens when companies just open up about their production costs? There's some fascinating research, actually, suggesting this simple act might build trust and drive sales better than all those usual marketing tricks. Genuine transparency gets reciprocated with trust.
Why would showing something potentially sensitive, like production costs, actually make people more likely to buy?
And the answers they found are pretty compelling, and honestly, not always what you'd first guess. But we've dug into some exciting research from Harvard Business School that suggests exactly that. We're talking potentially over a 20% jump in purchases. And they didn't just look at one thing.
No, they covered a lot of ground. Things like soup, wallets, backpacks.
Chocolates, t-shirts, even travel packages, a really diverse set of products. And they've really, properly investigated what happens when companies just open up.
Yeah. They ran 6 different studies, some in the field, some online, some in the lab, to really test this from different angles.
Here, give me an example.
One of the coolest was a field experiment, university cafeteria. Hundreds of student customers. They focused on chicken noodle soup, priced at $4.95. Right, so sometimes the sign next to the soup just listed the ingredients. But other times this was the key condition. It listed the ingredients and the cost of each component, plus the total cost for ingredients, which is $4.12.
Wait, $4.12 cost for a $4.95 soup. That's not a huge margin.
Well, that was just ingredients. They also noted that labor costs were actually the biggest chunk, $3.23.
Ah, okay. So they were showing the ingredients cost less than $1, but labor was significant. Interesting. So what happened? Did people buy more soup?
They sure did. A 21.1% increase in the probability of purchase when the cost info was there.
Wow, 21% just from a sign.
Yep. That was their first big piece of real-world evidence for one that transparency boosts sales.
Okay, that's pretty compelling. Soup sales going up. What else? You mentioned online studies?
Yeah, they had this great, almost accidental finding with an online retailer selling leather wallets.
Accidental? How?
Well, the retailer created this infographic showing the production costs, but somehow it only got applied to 3 out of the 5 different colors of the wallet being sold online. Like, oops.
Huh. Perfect for research, though.
Totally. So they looked at 92 days of sales data, and guess what?
The ones with the infographic sold more?
By 22%.
Get out. Another 20+% jump.
Exactly. And crucial step, they designed an experiment using a fictional chocolate bar.
Chocolate, nice.
Always good for experiments. Some people saw packaging that included a detailed breakdown of the production cost, $2.89 total. Others just saw standard packaging. Then they measured 2 things: willingness to buy and trust in the brand.
Did seeing the costs make people trust it more?
Bingo. Cost transparency increased both willingness to buy and reported trust in the brand.
Okay, so they move together.
Yes.
But hang on. What if a company has to disclose costs? What if there's a regulation? Does that still build trust?
Ah, fantastic question. And they anticipated that. They ran a t-shirt experiment specifically to look at that.
Okay, t-shirts. What were the conditions?
3 groups. 1, control, no cost info. 2, mandatory disclosure. They framed it like, due to new regulations, we have to tell you. And 3, voluntary disclosure. We choose to share this with you.
And did they show a breakdown or just the total?
Just the total cost this time. $6.70 for a $15 t-shirt.
Okay. And my guess is the voluntary group is where the magic happened.
You're absolutely right. Cost transparency only increased purchase interest when it was presented as voluntary.
Really? No effect at all for mandatory?
None. No positive effect, which is a super important finding, right? The disclosure has to feel like a genuine, chosen act of openness to build that trust. It needs to feel authentic.
That makes total sense. If it's forced, it's just compliance. It doesn't feel like they're choosing to be open with me, loses that personal trust-building element.
Precisely.
Okay, one other angle. Price fairness. Couldn't it just be that seeing the costs makes people feel the final price is more, fair, especially if margins aren't huge?
Definitely a possibility they considered. Is it trust, or is it just feeling like you're not getting ripped off? So they designed another clever experiment, this time with the travel package.
Travel, okay.
Yeah, participants first estimated what they thought the tour package should cost. Then they were shown the actual price, which was set to be either surprisingly higher or surprisingly lower than their initial estimate.
Oh, interesting. Setting up different expectations.
Exactly. And then, after seeing the price, some participants were shown the cost transparency information, others weren't. Then they measured willingness to buy, trust, and perceived price fairness.
Okay, lots of moving parts. What came out of that?
Trust was higher with cost transparency, regardless of whether the price was high or low.
Okay, so trust went up either way.
Yep. But perceptions of price fairness, they only really increased significantly when the price was higher than expected.
Ah, wow. Okay, so across all these studies, soup, wallets, backpacks, chocolate, t-shirts, travel, the pattern holds. Voluntary cost transparency builds trust, and that trust makes people more likely to buy.
That's the core narrative, yeah. They really seem to have isolated this psychological mechanism.
And it worked across different products, different margins. You said 17% up to 55%.
That's right. And whether they showed a detailed breakdown or just the total cost didn't seem to fundamentally change the positive effect.